Good, man. Ups and downs, just fucking trying to trying to get shit done, trying to make things happen. And any other generic thing you can say when people ask you that question.
Survive
I don't know.
the
Yeah, bro.
answer.
That's always a funny question because it's like I feel like doing my best is the only real answer anyone could ever give that question.
I mean, it's true. It's true.
But
Musically, doing though, because I know there's a lot happening in your life musically at the moment. Um,
yeah,
can you share anything now? Because when I was adding you to this live, I was like, oh, I've got so much to talk about, but I'm like, am I allowed to? I was
yeah,
like,
I know, right? It's one of those. I never thought that one day I would be one of those like, ooh, I got some shit going on, but I want to keep it on the low type of people. But it's happening, man. It's Hollywood Ulash just from the get go. Like I've been in the music industry for 2 minutes, and I'm already like doing all that Hollywood shit. So yeah, there's something happening, but
you can't
I
then.
I can't mention it. Let's just say like I'm in talks with a couple of places about having a bit more backing for my music as an artist, and
I
yeah,
just
that's pretty much it.
say I am genuinely so proud of you. Like,
Thank you, man.
it
I appreciate it.
reminds me of our first chaotic interview at UCL.
Yes.
And I mean, even at that point, you know, you were in a band, you had a good like support
Yeah.
network, did
Yeah.
have people that are coming to your gigs, streaming and supporting your music. But
Hmm.
this feels like the next big step, and it's happened so quickly. Even though that
Yeah.
was a while ago, but it feels like it's just happening.
Yeah, yeah. I'm fucking around when I say I've been in the music industry for like 2 minutes, but yeah, like just kind of, it just feels like I'm recently only getting to it on like a professional level. But the fact of the matter is, like, it's a typical case of like this shit has been building for years and years. And yeah, like it's interesting about the band thing. Like, it's it was a good foundation, man. That shit is like that. It really helped me with developing a lot of these fundamentals, like, and um, a lot of people talk shit, rightfully so, about like live performances of like modern day artists and shit. And um, I feel like that's a big part of why a lot of people don't like modern music or like the more recent superstars or whatever, because like they don't have that live element. They weren't like in the they didn't have that boot camp period of like trying to get their live shit down. And I feel very grateful that that's not the case for me. Like, if nothing else, all those like band years that I went through, like, they helped my live performance so much. And you can really tell the difference when you're like watching an artist between like someone who had
I
that
have
experience in it.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I think that's what you guys were known in that network of musicians, was just
Yeah.
putting great performance as well as great music. I think it's interesting. Obviously, you've changed quite a bit in terms of
Hmm.
sonically, but like you said, it's given you that training to go and perform at bigger stages in front of,
Yeah.
crowds, people that really support the music. For me, on a personal
For
level,
sure.
that's been the biggest struggle, performance,
Yeah.
because to do everything kind of when no one was watching. I could sing and I could
Yeah.
do all.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a crowd. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah. Yeah. It's
no.
yeah,
Yeah,
like for me, I've always been like super fascinated by stand-up comedy because it's just like you talking to someone, and there's something about singing in a small venue that's not too different. It's like you always have to be mindful of like the people around you. There's been a lot of times because like I didn't just do band performances, I was doing a lot of solo shit, especially during my time in London. Like I would kind
yeah.
of like double time as like I would double as like an acoustic singer songwriter around like the open mic circuit in London. And there's like straight up times where I would have to cut the set short. I don't know if I ever tell you the story. There's one time, there's this place called the Enterprise, and like Ed Sheeran played there too, and it's like kind of rookie days. And I was doing my first open mic there, and I was like playing this new song, and I was like super excited. I was like, oh my god, I just wrote this. I bet they'll love it. And it was, if you don't sign, because it's like first come first serve basis. So like I was one of the last ones, and there was like not a lot of people left in the audience, and I was new. I can tell that some people were just bored out of their fucking minds. They're like, I just want the song to end, and I was just starting to understand like, okay, if a song is too long, or like if you don't take these parts off when you're performing acoustically, it might be not as fun and shit. And I just remember there's this guy behind the desk who's like super supportive, like, oh my god, like this is he was going on looking like telling me to cut the song. Yeah, it's like I was like, oh shit, like literally the guy behind the mixing desk who doesn't know me, like who's never like who I've only said hello to, is telling me to cut the song short.
That's
So
horrible.
but like it was horrible, but it was again like boot camp shit. Like
Yeah.
it's these moments that make you realize like it's just a whole other element to perform in front of a crowd. And yeah, like even these small things, like realizing when someone gets bored of the song, like shit like that, like just
Mm,
seeing very immediately the people's response to the song.
yeah.
That's just a whole other kind of education for a music artist.
Yeah, no, I think that's why I feel like extra proud of this moment that you're
Mm,
kind of diving into, because it's like
I
everything you
appreciate
worked so hard for is,
it. Yeah.
I think, now coming to a point
Yeah,
where
exactly.
really take that to the next level.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
terms of music, so
Mm.
we last time we spoke, you kind of have gone to my kind of music, that R&B, that hip hop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, how has that journey been, and can we expect more music? You've been putting out a lot of content.
Yeah, yeah.
What's in the works?
Yeah, so I just put out two new singles. Go stream that shit. Uh, to everyone, um, yeah, one of them is fully in English, one of them is fully in Turkish. So it's my first Turkish song that I'm putting out as like a solo artist officially. And yeah, again, hip hop R&B vibes. And there's definitely new stuff coming along, and the stuff that I'm doing is more the stuff that's coming up that I want to put out. They're more like, I guess you could call them relationship songs. They're more like kind of personal and stuff like that. These two songs, I just wanted to put them out as like I don't know, they're kind of celebratory on some level. They're kind of like a welcome back type of thing. There's a lot of flexing in the song. I'm talking my shit a little bit. So
Yeah,
it's just kind of like a kind of a return for me, and that's kind of the way I look at it. They're very hip hop inspired, but I'm still very much singing. I consider myself very much like a
yeah.
pop R&B artist more than anything. Um, but yeah, the new material that's coming up, it's going to be a lot more sort of love themed, and
Yeah.
still very like rowdy, but the topics are going to be different.
Okay, okay. Is there love in your life that this is based on? Is there a new person in your life that has entered and
Yes, yes,
oh,
there's a
okay.
few, bro. It's been a year
You.
of just yeah, not right now. Baby, if you're watching, I'm so sorry, but no, there has been in the past.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been a very like tumultuous year in that sense too. Of like dating during the pandemic has been fucking crazy. Like trying to
Mm,
get something, trying to meet people, trying to spend time with people, in that sense too. Like it's just been a lot of like experiences that I sort of soaked up, that I
right.
wrote about. And yeah, right now I'm with someone, but even just getting to that relationship has been like a mess. And we still have our like little toxic moments, little fights, and all that. So it's just been a lot of inspiration, basically.
Yeah, I guess I was going to say, I mean, apart from relationships, you've gone, you mentioned doing now music in Turkish,
Yeah.
exploring your a little bit more. And now that you are there in Turkey, has that really changed the way that you write? I mean, first of all, it's amazing that you're exploring it. It sounds
Mm.
incredible,
Thank
low key. Not that I'm your manager or
you.
like I'm a fan,
So,
but I'd love you to do more Turkish. Like
yeah,
when you're there, like that's the jump shot, I think. So, but anyway,
appreciate
side
it.
note, guys, check it out. Has that kind of inspired you to now maybe enter that space a little bit more?
Yeah.
Using heritage as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's a tricky balance, because the more you get into the industry side of things, the more you get into the business side of things, and try to actually sell your music and make a living from all this shit, you get more more and more of an understanding of what gets
Right.
listened to, what doesn't get listened to, you know, what works, what doesn't work in that regard. And you start kind
Right.
of that balancing act of like, okay, if this is what I want to do, but this is what'll help me actually make a living from this shit eventually. So that's a big part of the Turkish music thing has been a big part of that balance for me. It's like trying to figure out how much of it I'm going to use, how much of it I'm not going to use. Because you know we talked about this last time we did this, like there's such a big, like a gigantic world of shit you can use from, like, you know, the Middle East, you know, South
Right.
Asia, East Europe, like all these places that, you know, especially the Middle East, that, you know, Turkey is very much inspired by, um, from like scales to instruments to chord progressions and all that. So it's a tricky balance. It's finding, you know, how much, because there's also this element of, like, you know, the same way fucking Coca-Cola or, you know, Netflix, like there's these things that are so, you know, globalized at this point that anyone is open to them. So like there'll be a lot of Turkish songs, especially in the past 5, 10, 15 years, where it's basically just an English pop song, but like an American pop song, but the lyrics are in Turkish. So
Yeah.
there, so it's kind, so I've been doing that as well. Like that's something that I'm doing with some songs as well, but there's always, like, every now and again when I'm writing, I'll add that little, like, okay, this doesn't usually happen in American pop or
Right.
R&B music, but I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna add it in there. So there is going to be a balance. It's going to be like some
Yeah.
songs where I'm just going for it entirely and it's basically something you would hear from like a more American artist, but then, you know,
Right.
maybe like there'll be a bit of flavor of that, and there's some songs where you're like, yo, this is mad
Yeah.
oriental. Like this is
Do you
aggressively
feel
oriental.
like do you feel the pressure of like exploring that side of your heritage? I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people before, and obviously you've done most of your catalog is in English, right? And we're those lost in translation kids, right? We're never quite one way or the other. So when you've now started, you know, doing the Turkish lyrics, have you felt a bit of pressure for your family and, you know, your friends in Turkey? Are you like, oh, hope they like it, I hope they get it, you know,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
there
Yeah, so there's like sometimes I'll do these little like freestyles that I record and put on Instagram. There's been a couple times where I'd be like, "Yo, mom, like you didn't," because like my mom has this thing, like she'll share every, you know, it's like classic mom shit. Like whatever I'll do, she'll like share it. I'll put a story of me fucking, like, I don't know, like just outside fucking driving, and I'm like, oh, my sweet boy, like she'll just put it on her little thing. And I noticed, like, yo mom, you're not like, whenever I do like Turkish stuff, like you're not putting it on Instagram, you're not doing anything, like is everything okay? So she'll be like, well, you know, you do some say some bad words in those songs, and I'm like, okay, I see what's up, I see what's happening here. So yeah,
fair,
it's
fair?
so like there's these yeah, so that's one thing that, like, as a songwriter, I
Yeah.
never even like thought about before, because it's always like, you know, if it's a vibe, like the people I know in Turkey love just like listen to it, they're like, I
Right.
fuck with it, whatever. And a lot of Turkish people, like I've noticed, they'll like sing the shit out of an English song, like they'll just like kill it and have no idea what the song is saying. They're just like, it sounds good, like they're like broken English fucking, like, you know, recite it or
Right.
whatever. So yeah, it's definitely something that I never even had to think about before, of like my mom, like what my mom will think of these lyrics and shit. But you know, like at the end of the day, it's like you can't get bogged down with any of that stuff. Like if
You
there's
know
something you need to say, you say it.
what's super interesting is I had this discussion actually with my brother a couple of days ago. If you're watching something and the swearing is in English, not that
Mm.
parents are normally okay with it, they're still a
Yeah,
bit like, oh, but as soon as it's in your language, it
yeah.
becomes completely uncomfortable, like completely, like how could they say? So I
Yeah,
think to it, I think, you know, if you had said the same lyrics in English, not to say your mum would have shared it, she might have been like still inappropriate, but I think there's just that there's a little
yeah,
bit of a pressure there because I think it's like, oh, he's speaking my language and he's cussing someone out. So I see it. I
yeah,
see there is definitely a thing there for foreign
yeah,
parents.
man, for sure.
Yeah.
No
So
worries.
so visuals, now you've explored this a lot more this time, like you said, with your freestyle. I'm going to put some links in the description as well so that people can
Please
check that
do.
out. Um, First of all, they're banging. Like the vibe is just there.
Thank you,
It's
appreciate it.
amazing. Do you direct that, and are we going to get more?
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to do it because they're more of like kind of the moment type of thing. Like um if there's something particularly happening in my life where I have a bit of free time, and a lot of those are just shit that, like, I'll sometimes put beats on and just like sing to them randomly just out of boredom. And I'm like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. But then sometimes I really want to say something, and I just like it's an easier way for me to put it out. But yeah, they're all like type beats, and they're all just kind of like I'll just go through beats in my spare time. Like sometimes I'll just be like listening to beats just for inspiration, and or sometimes it's like, oh shit, that sounds really cool, and oh, this guy did this thing. It's also kind of it's been a genre thing for me. Like one of the freestyles is a drill beat, and
Mm.
I had never done anything drill before, and I was like, I just really want to try. Like, I just want to try my hand at. It's like, I don't know, if you're like if you're a ball player, like you play basketball, and like, I don't know, you play with different size balls. It's like you just do something that you've never done, but it's like, oh shit, this is really fun. So it's
Right.
just so like a big part of it was just like trying these things that I had never done before, saying shit that I would, because the songs are becoming increasingly costly, unfortunately. Like, I thought fucking the first time I started doing like hip hop and R&B, I was like, oh, okay, no more live instruments, we're good. Like, I don't have to pay for anything. Everything's on the computer now. And it's like, no, like there's still that skill that's being required, and you employ people's skills. Like, when you work with a producer and arranger, and it's costly as fuck. It's like it's the kind of the same principle. So the idea of just like taking a type beat, playing some vocals over it, cutting it a little bit, because I kind of produce myself a little bit too. So like just mixing and mastering it and just putting it out myself. There's something really kind of freeing about that. It's like, I just want to get this idea out and let me just put it out. So it's
Right.
been really good in that sense. Um, and yeah,
Amazing.
mixing English and
Yeah.
Turkish too, like experimenting with that. It's been really fun too, on those freestyles. Just like those little things, those little like wordplay things, or like little like lyrical fun things you can do about like when you're like when you start a sentence in English and then you add like a Turkish word at the end, or like you add a Turkish expression, but then like anglicize it a little bit. Like doing all those little things
Yeah.
that I've started to do on those freestyles has been super fun too.
That sounds amazing. I saw Damien Clark, who's coming on tomorrow for the show.
Nice.
He did request to join us live. I didn't know whether you had a question, but yeah, if you have a question, please do let me know. You can jump on live and give our fabulous artist today the questions that you have.
Please do.
Um, so yes, so now that you've kind of really established yourself, I feel like as an artist that
Yeah.
you want to be, that sonically where you are, who's an artist that you see their career and their trajectory that you would love to emulate and replicate in a way?
Hmm. Uh, there's a few. I mean, the weekend might be too obvious, but I just really fuck with the weekend. Like, it's really hard not to fuck with the weekend. I feel.
You know what? I
I
was
just
listening to stuff like just the other day, and I was like, people really don't talk about that enough. It's such a tune, like it's such a tune, and his whole mixtape, amazing. But anyway, sorry, side
no
note.
that era. No, that era is fucking, yeah, legendary too. It's like, I don't know if you saw his last Coachella performance. Like, just it
Yeah,
literally came out like a few days ago, like the recorded version.
yeah,
And it's like, yo, this is fucking crazy.
yeah.
Like, it's just one of those. There's such an element of, because it's still like, for me, there's it's still R&B at its core, but it's just doing something with R&B where, because bro, like, I mean, as an R&B artist yourself mainly, like, I'm sure you get this, like, R&B is going through a very weird phase right now where it's really hard to find like just R&B artists, because there was a
Yeah.
time when like you had these gigantic artists who were like R&B is all they did. Like, they were the R&B guys, and they made like 15 songs in the same genres in the album, and you just vibed with it. It was like amazing. It just worked. And then just something started to happen, like even in like the fucking like MJ eras and shit, like all those periods, like where it became more of like a hybrid of different things. And now it's like it's for a lot of people, R&B has become like something that rappers sometimes do when they're feeling like romantic, like, like in between like songs about shooting people, they're just like, yeah, I do, I fuck with girls too.
It's like a warm hip hop. Like it's
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I also love you.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. And then they'll like I was listening to this there's this duo called They. They're like two singers and they produce or whatever. And they I was listening to one of their songs the other day, and literally like the song opens with it's like, like R&B crooning vibes. And he's like, okay, like you have a man, I don't fuck with him, like we should hang out, like kind of like laying it down. And then he'll just like talk about how like, but I can get it popping too. Like I can shoot his ass. I'm like, bro, like, god damn it, like, just, things are going
but
so.
I think you're right in the sense that R&B has been one of those genres that has been quite fluid in where it's gone. It's kind of gone from really typical R&B throwback to people who we don't mention like R. Kelly because of those reasons. But I mean, at the end of the day, he really shaped that genre in a
Yeah.
way for especially male vocalists.
Mm,
So,
mm.
they when they kind of brought that R&B into the scene, people became huge fans of it. They
Yeah,
really enjoyed listening to it. And then there was an era, particularly in the UK, with Craig David, who's like a
yeah,
huge inspiration for me
legend.
personally.
Yeah,
Vocally, he stuck to that R&B format, but
yeah,
explored garage. He explored really dance music, and
yeah,
there's a flexibility there. So I think that's why even for yourself as an artist, you're not going to particularly stay on drill beats or hip hop beats.
yeah,
It
yeah,
can to anything, but it's a nice transformation from where you were in the band
oh
to
yeah,
because that's
yeah,
complete. I would
yeah,
also say, please do go check out the music. I'm going to link that also in the description because to see the change, the
yeah.
versatility that you artists,
Appreciate
I
it.
think a lot of artists that can do that. I couldn't do that. I couldn't go and work the music that you guys did. So it's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, and it's again like part of why I love the weekend. Like there's this what I was getting at is like you if you're an R&B artist today, you have to kind of figure out how to make it interesting. Like you can't just do like baby face beats or like like quiet storm beats like for a whole fucking album or whatever. Like we're in an era now where um being an R&B artist is kind of like you have to know hip hop, you have to know like maybe dance hall, maybe you have to get into reggaeton, maybe you have to know like the electronic music scene, you have to be into house, shit like that. So again, like just the benefit of having done like 10 plus years of music before I went solo and did what I'm doing now. It's when I was in a rock band, we play a shitload of covers too. We do covers all the time. And, I played some guitar in some of the songs too. So like just having to like, okay, we're doing like a metal song now. Just like fucking just go for it. Like just chug the shit out of the whole song. Or like, we're doing a more like slowed down acoustic ballad. So like the kind of the training you get in a rock band of because rock is also one of those genres where it has like all these little sub genres and like it kind of goes into other shit. So like I I'm lucky to also have that training with in my band era of like uh taking just like sitting down and like okay, we started writing something, this is going to be this kind of thing, and okay, this genre, this subgenre, whatever, has these kinds of beats and this kind of melody, and like just really being able to kind of like fluidly kind of go through those
Mhm.
genres. Again, that's just
Yeah.
my time in a band has been really helpful with that.
Yeah. So I think that's like, yeah, that's why this next chapter is going to be incredible because
Yeah.
you have that freedom now to kind of, yeah, if you want to stick to the same sound or if you want to start exploring some of the different styles of music, you
Yeah,
have that.
for sure.
Again, what can we expect from you? And I know I'm finding it difficult to say. It's so okay. All I will say, if you are watching, please do go because there's going to be some major things happening for him. So please follow. Um, I'm like struggling to word the question.
I think I got you. I think I got you. So,
Yeah.
it's what I can say is that again, like it's going to be a bit more backing. There's going to be a bit more backing for what I do. Essentially, I'm gonna be able to release because we talked about this last time we spoke. This like the independent musician struggle, having to do everything yourself, having to like get into areas of music and being a music artist that you wouldn't even like I don't know why I know so much about like music law now, and I know like fucking like legalese terms and contracts and shit, or like I know how to like work a camera, or like what shutter speed is and shit like that, like all the stuff that I genuinely don't care about, but that I had to learn because I'm an independent musician and I'm trying to get things going. So I'm entering this phase now where, again, like there's a couple institutions that are interested in what I do, and whichever one I go with, there's going to be this added support of I'm still going to be doing my thing. I'm still going to be writing the music and working with producers and arrangers, but when I put the music out, there's going to be a bit more support behind it in terms of like PR for it, playlisting, shit like that. All these little things that unfortunately you have to do now because it's not enough to put out a good song. Like it's kind of the sad reality of the music industry increasingly is that you can have the best song in the world, like literally, because there's always that like kind of, oh, if it's good, people will catch on. And it's like, no, bro, I really wish it was like that, but like it's not at all. It's like realizing, because and that's a big realization you go through if you're like an artist today, is like, oh shit, I can literally write the best song of all time and it won't matter. Like I can record it perfect, I can like sing the shit out of it, like it's not gonna matter if I don't do everything around it that I'm supposed to do. So hopefully I'm now entering a phase where the quality of the music is only going to get, I was going to say it's not going to change, it's going to get better. And I'm like, all those things that I've been doing in terms of like putting quality music is not going to change, but everything around it is going to change so that it's actually more heard, hopefully.
Yes, yeah, no, honestly, again, like as a musical, like I feel like you're my musical brother. We've connected so much, and I say support. So this new chapter is super exciting. Where can people find you before we go? And also, before you leave, maybe one advice for somebody who is an independent artist.
Yeah.
What the best advice that you could give them? What is the one thing that you've learned and said, okay, you need to do this?
So I am Yigzi. That's Yigzi underscore if you're on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find me on Spotify. You can find me on all the socials. And yeah, I got 2 new songs out. Post up and sub check them out. My advice. That was a very kind of
Yeah.
kind of thumbs up. Yeah. In terms of advice, it's that balance, honestly, that I was talking about a second ago. This idea of like um, know that eventually you're probably gonna have to make money if you don't want to start to that. So it's this like element of once you're aware from the get-go, from the minute you step into the music industry, that there's got to be a balance, that you need to always be thinking, part of you needs to always be thinking about like, okay, I do need to make money from this, I do need to monetize this. It ironically actually makes the art better in a weird way. It's like once you have the business side of things sorted, then you can be freer on the artist side. There's on the art side. There's so many examples of people who like, I don't know, do whatever the fuck they want and just kind of put shit out there. It doesn't work at all, or they do whatever the fuck they want and it works to some extent, but then they have to get to a point where they're conforming to some of these rules and they realize like, oh shit, like nothing I usually do is allowed within these confines if I want to make money. So knowing all of these rules to the game and knowing how you can actually kind of just knowing how things work in that sense, you can it helps you when you have an idea, when you're really passionate about the story you want to tell in your stories, in your songs, the musical choices you want to make, all these things. It allows you to sort of make space for them. It's like you become the protector of your own creativity when you know that when you know how you can make that creativity work in the context of business, of the business side of music. So never get cynical, never get to a point where like you're just doing it for the money, or you're writing songs for the money, or you're basing your image or whatever for the money, but um know enough about the business side of music so that you can be creative, so that you can tell your story unfiltered, so that you can be who you are completely in your music without having to
Yeah.
compromise. Like, not compromising comes from the best way to not compromise is to know all the ways in which things are set up for you to compromise, so you
Yeah.
can dodge them, basically.
I do have to say, you've inspired me to kind of stay true to yourself as well, because I think where you've kind of taken the jump into a genre that you've really enjoyed, really worked at, you're reaping the rewards. Fingers crossed soon. And I think that's a testament for your willingness to not be fazed by the music industry. It's so hard, and I know you
Yeah.
started off this interview saying, oh, I just started like a few, yeah, you know, like game, but you've done it for a while and you've
Yeah.
worked wearing so many different hats, marketing, you know, doing the videos, doing the freestyles, changing the image, styling, photos, Instagram, socials. It's a lot of work that maybe non-musical people don't understand, that as an independent artist, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So if anyone is watching, please do go support Yigzi. 2 new singles, like he's just spoiling us. 2 new singles, so much content as well on his profile. So do follow his Instagram as well, and I will put all the links in the description. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I want to, if you're willing to, and at that point, you know, there's going to be more regulations around what you do. But once that happens, join me again on live. Let's talk about it. And I'm excited for this new chapter. So proud.
Same here, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the support. Like, I feel, yeah, man. Like, it's been a journey for both of us. I feel like it's always been fun to, like, every now and again check in with you and you check in with me, like what's going on. Yeah, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it too. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Make sure you follow him, guys. Take care.
Peace, man.
Bye.
Have a good night.